Should I take a job I don't love after graduation just to get started?
What can students be doing to truly get ahead of AI right now?
Will AI make my degree or skill set less valuable by the time I graduate?
Hi, I'm Reid Hoffman. I co founded LinkedIn, and I'm here to answer a few of your questions about the future of work. All right, let's jump into the first question.
Hi, my name is Denise, and I'm a student at the University of Oxford. My question is, should I take a job I don't love after graduation just to get started?
Typically, like in commencement speeches, the answer is never. But of course, the real answer is sometimes. Because what you should be is you should be strategic about what you're doing. You should be thinking about what's where do I might be wanting to go 2, 5, 10 years from now? How would this job possibly get me there? And by the way, doing a job versus not doing a job is always a better way to ultimately be getting to a much better job 2, 5, 10 years out. So the answer is sometimes. The view is you're sometimes mistaught that you should only be looking for what you're passionate about. And that's the most important thing. Now, of course, your passion is important. If you hate the job, if you're bored with the job, it's very hard to do that job well. So there is an important component of passion. But for example, you can go ask a whole bunch of people, like for example, a bunch of people say, I love playing video games. Should you be making video games? Not necessarily. What's the right path for you in terms of like what are you really good at? What does the market need? And how do you respond to that? And sometimes it's take that job that you're kind of mediocre on because you have a plan for how you're evolving. And that keeping that plan in mind is the central thing.
Hi, Reed. My name is Michael Astorino. I'm a junior at Wesleyan University. And my question for you is what can students be doing to truly get ahead of AI right now? Not just learning how to prompt, but learning how to use it in ways that create real value.
I love this question because in part it's saying, hey, I'm already engaging because you're thinking about what the prompting landscape looks like. Now, the first thing for everyone is don't discount how important prompting skills will be. This is actually one of the things that one of my own personal beliefs right now is that no one is prompting in particularly good ways. We're all like 5% users. Like there's this kind of old myth that we only use like 3 or 5% of our brains. Well, I think we're at best at that at our current prompting skills. And so developing prompting skills, always be learning. It's one of the things that I ask people constantly when I am engaging with people who've been using AI is, well, how are you using it? What have you thought about in terms of how to prompt these things in better ways? And so every single time that I actually, in fact, am talking to someone who is engaging, it's one of the things that I'm constantly learning. And I could spend an hour going through all of the strategies and tips and tricks and all the rest of it. And I think that's really important to do. Now, the other part to get to it is to say, think about how to use AI strategically. So it's not just, okay, I'm prompting, but which problems could it be applied to? How could it be applied to those problems in ways that is interesting and unique? It could generate, particularly good content because this is one of the ways that the world of work will be changing. Within, 2 to 5 years, all of us will be using AI co-pilots, along with what we're doing, and it's a question of how do we use them smartly? Like, what's the game we're playing? What's the theory of that game? What's the strategy to do that?
My name is Jemo Arma and I'm a computer science student at uni. In fact, I wonder if AI will replace certain careers, such as web designers and developers.
One of the things is the career landscape has actually, in fact, always been dynamic. It's always been changing. I mean, for example, I know this reveals my age a little bit, but uh, web designer actually, in fact, was a new job that came up during my lifetime. When I was in college, there was no thought about becoming a web designer or what the skills are within web design are. And AI is just amplifying this fact, which is the fact that it's changing faster, it's changing in more directions, and it highlights the fact that you need to be dynamic and evolving. And, part of the way to do that is to say, well, okay, be learning, but also be embracing these AI tools. We know that the AI tools are going to be central. So, as a specific example, think about how web designer is going to change. The code that you learn with web design will, no longer be as relevant. The fact that you know all the tags, that you know all the coding description of language, that you're an expert, that you could produce the website design coding for dummies book no longer matters as much because AI can do all of that. What it does is it changes what web design could mean in terms of what you have to bring to it is your creativity, your originality, hey, this would be some way that it would strategically map onto the kind of goals of the company, organization, entity, person that's doing it. This is something you could try that's different, that other people using AI tools might not think the same way you do, or may not be able to bring it into focus the same way you do.
Hi, Reed. My name is Keisha Patel, and I'm a rising senior at WashU. And my question is, what advice would you give to students who feel like their major is becoming less relevant as AI advances?
Given that things are so disruptive, it's very natural to feel anxious about, did all the things I just learned, are they not relevant anymore? Now, the good news is that what you should take forward from your college degree isn't necessarily the thing you learned in X 101. It isn't specific degrees, specific courses, even necessarily specific skills that are relevant to you. It's your capacity to learn. It's your capacity to say, hey, here is the new tool set, here's the new challenge. And that is actually what the future work's going to look like. So, one thing is to not focus on the degree, but to focus on how you learn and to be continually learning. The other part of college that's super important that you should not forget is that life is a team sport, not just an individual sport. So the people that you became friends with, that you shared experiences with, that are out there in the world with you can help each other. And this is, of course, one of the reasons why I built LinkedIn, because the whole idea is it's not just an individual career. It's hey, what do you know that I don't know? Do you know of a good opportunity? Hey, have you found a good way to use AI to do this yet? Hey, I'm kind of confused and I might feel like I'm at a dead end. What might shake up that dead end? And now, of course, not just think about maintaining the friendships and network that you have from college, but also think about how you build that as you go forward.
I'm Manthan Patel from Ahmedabad University, India, and my two primary questions for you is, will AI make my degree or skill set less valuable by the time I graduate? And I'm also concerned or worried that AI will make it even much harder for me to find a job since I don't have that much experience yet.
Yeah, it's a legitimate worry. The thing that you should always keep in mind, and this is part of the kind of entrepreneurial mindset, is how do you convert challenges into opportunities? How do you take something that could be a negative and possibly turn it into an advantage? And that's part of the reason why I wrote the Startup Review. But in this particular case, you think about, okay, AI is changing the landscape, may make entry level jobs harder to get to, may make employers uncertain about who they're looking for in employing. Then you say, well, okay, how do I use the current circumstances, the disruption, to make this better? How do I use AI to identify what possible new opportunities might be? How do I use AI to map me to those opportunities? How do you use AI to make myself stand out? And what's more, and this is one of the kind of driving themes that I have is very strong advice for young people to say, you are Generation AI. You are AI native. So bringing the fact that you have AI in your tool set is one of the things that makes you enormously attractive. And so you say, okay, look, on this side, it's transforming the workspace, entry level work, employers' confusion. But on this side, it's making you able to show your unique capabilities that, with an environment of a bunch of older people, you might be able to help them out. And that, of course, is part of the magic. It's been great being in this dialogue. But part of the reason it's a conversation is because it's dynamic and it's ongoing. This is, in fact, just the beginning of these questions that we should be asking, these questions that we should be learning together. So, for everyone, including the class of 2025, I wish you the very best on this journey as we discover and make this future together.